Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of Creative Genius Exposed, the show that can turn anyone into a creative genius overnight. Now, I'm sure you've heard people say to think outside of the box, and this is one of the most common pieces of creative thinking wisdom, but in reality, this is nothing but feel-good fluff. Yes, it sounds good, but it really just isn't practical advice. It's kind of like telling someone who's slow at running to simply run faster. Sounds good, but it's not practical, it's not usable. So today I want to share with you a new way of thinking. You see, thinking outside the box is so 2011, so instead we're going to think outside of the bag. I'm going to share with you my outside the bag creative blueprint so that you can use it, swipe it, be inspired by it, and henceforth be known as Bob, the creative genius. If, however, your name is not Bob, then that could be a little unfortunate. And speaking of names, this is me. My name is Dean Hunt, and I'm one of the few, this is actually one of the few professional photos of me that's in existence. I speak around the world and am considered by some as the most creative guy in the business world. Okay, in this instance, by some, I'm mostly referring here to my mum, but hey, she says I'm special, and who am I to argue? This, however, is not me. In fact, this isn't even close. This, in fact, is a hamster with a mustache, wearing a top hat and a monocle. So I want to stress once more, just to avoid any possible confusion here that may arise from my English accent, this is not me. Okay, glad we've got that sorted. Let's get back into turning you into a creative genius. So here's the formula for my outside the bag technique. Simply have something that should be contained, partly escape. Have something that should be contained, partly escape. You may want to write that down, get it tattooed on your forehead, something like that so that you can remember it. And you know what? I imagine that your mind has been blown into a tiny little set of pieces right now. But what's that? You want more? Specific examples, Dean, you cry. Okay, let's do it. Hold on tight, let's go. Bam! Okay, so now I bet you can see where the outside the bag principle name derived from, right? Kind of all makes sense now, it all comes together. In this example, we can see a great demonstration of how something that is normally self-contained or separate can extend outside of the bag for creative effect. In this instance, the handles of the bag are extending outside of the bag but connecting to the internal image below. Very clever. Another example, these are from an electronics store, and you're going to notice that all these examples I'm sharing with you serve the purpose of grabbing attention, which is fundamental and is one of the core keys to successful advertising and branding. But also notice their relevance to the actual products and the actual brands that they represent. You see, who doesn't love a bag that shows nail biting? It's creative and it's amusing. But if they were selling deodorant or IKEA furniture, then it wouldn't have any relevance whatsoever. So if you're going to swipe this, if you're going to be inspired by this formula for creative genius, make sure that you maintain relevance to your brand, your service, or your products. Here's another inside the bag. Actually, this is more inside the bag than outside, but the creativity remains. And now I've got to, my lawyers tell me I have to give a terrible pun warning here. So if you have high blood pressure, if you're pregnant, then the awfulness of the forthcoming pun may tip you over the edge. So if you're still here, okay, you're still here, here goes. I guess you could say that this bag is a great example of creativity. Get it? Okay, I apologize. I guess I should just leave. Tea leaf? No? Okay, well, if a terrible pun is not your cup of tea, perhaps you'd like to see a digital example of the outside the bag principle. Sound good? Bam! Let's talk about Facebook timeline covers. See, Facebook seems to be all the rage right now. I hear all the cool kids are using it. And by the way, shameless plug, facebook.com/Dean Hunt. Here are some examples that use the exact same creative genius principle that we talked about earlier, but with very different outcomes. So here's one from Antonio, and the great thing here is that the photo, the kind of blurry pixelated photo in the bottom left corner, is independent of the main image below. It is, in theory, outside of the bag, yet part of it at the same time. So this fits our creative blueprint, our creative principle perfectly. Here's another great example, and Kay actually gets bonus points here. He's the teacher's pet for this week because he has 2 acts of creative genius in one image here. Firstly, he's utilizing the bottom border of the Facebook timeline cover to give the impression that he's peering over it. The cheeky chap. Good on you, Kay. And secondly, his photo in the bottom left, the tiny little photo there, blends perfectly into the other photos above it, making it all appear as one very creative image. This is a great example for the world of advertising, arguably one of my favorite industries of all time. So congratulations on this one, very inspiring. Fabio here has gone ahead and pulled an Inception on us. He's done an Inception. He's created an image within an image within an image. So bravo, Fabio. Bravo. Giuseppe is getting his geek on with some E.T. loving. This is very creative and very cool. And Jorgen really grabs attention with this pair of images. I love this. Very creative. And last but certainly not least, this one comes with a 90s nostalgia warning. So again, if you have high blood pressure or averse to 90s nostalgia, then you may want to look away now. Ori Hassan here is proving that a Facebook image doesn't have to be all doom and gloom. So now you have the exact creative blueprint that can make you look like a creative genius. You've also got some lovely inspiration to show you just how it is done. The million-dollar question now is, how can you use this creative genius and swipe it, steal it, borrow it for your business? I would love to see what you come up with. You can reach me at contact@deanhunt.com via email or tweet me up at deanhunt. If, however, you would like me to personally brainstorm or consult with you in your business, send me an email and put hamster with a top hat in the subject line, and that way you're guaranteed to grab my attention. So until next time, I'm Dean Hunt. Stay creative, and remember, next time someone tells you to think outside the box, slap them across the face with a grocery bag.